Good evening and welcome to the Reel McCoy. I'm Meffistoe and with me my hetero life mate, Oh My Feelings. And today we have a guest, Little Fisticuffer. Right, what is the Reel McCoy? The Reel McCoy is your movie podcast, your weekly movie podcast of the week where we send you off to watch a movie, come back to us, and then we chit-chat about it, break it down, give you the lowdown, and give you our opinions about it. Along the way, we're going to have some little segment to spice up your life, and that'll be it. Good evening to you folks. Oh My Feelings, how are you this evening?
Doing good. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Little Fisticuffer, how are you doing?
Doing lovely. Happy to be here, guys.
Okay, tonight we are discussing Friday the 13th. The original one, no changes, no mutts, butts, or even cat's ass. Never mind. So I thought I would start this with a little bit of, brevity or levity or whatever it's called. Tonight we're discussing Friday the 13th, which oddly enough, spoiler alert, you should have watched the movie before coming in here. Not starring Jason Voorhees like the rest of the series. It is Mrs.
Voorhees.
Yes. Oh My Feelings, give us your lowdown for just the early synopsis for this movie.
Well, I will have to say that this was, I find it interesting because there are a lot of tropes that are inherent in the rest of the horror genre that started in this film. First and foremost, the crazy local who warns everyone was personified by Ralph to start off.
Yeah.
Ned, the comic relief character.
Yes.
In the troupe of crazy, wacky teens.
Mm-hmm. The guys who go off and have some sex.
That actually was in that didn't start here, but it was basic. This became what the template of that was moving forward in slasher films. It actually originated in several other films prior to this, but this is the film that kind of solidified it as a trope, as something that was in every slasher movie. You're gonna have this in it going forward. It's just the way it is. Because you know them teens, they love them some premarital sex.
Of course, of course.
Well, it's in our household, like we're huge fans of like B horror movies and 80s campy horror movies and stuff like that. And so we just made the drinking game. If you see a boob, you drink. And it gets us thoroughly intoxicated after one or two movies.
Yeah, not in this one actually, not in this one. So before we continue and introduce our guest of this week, first of all, if you like to be a participant or have any suggestions for this show, this one is my Instagram. We'll start with my Twitter at Meffistoe on Twitter if you like to get me there, or Instagram Meffistoe79, or if you like to email me Meffistoe79@gmail.com for suggestions, or if you don't like your social media, that's fine. Comment section down below. You can like, share, subscribe, and have the comment section all to yourselves. You know, if you want to go wild, go buck wild. I'll just delete it later if I like to. If you like to have a go and put a follow on our friend here, Little Fisticuffer, he's doing some awesome cooking streams. He's right there, twitch.tv/Little Fisticuffer. Go out, check him out as you wish. I do recommend it because on the lowdown, I have seen the VODs, sir, while we were talking. Very interesting, sir. I'm going to keep watching. I'm not joking. All right. So Friday the 13th, kind of a weird one because I did my homework, I did everything, and the first thing I forgot is who's the director of this? Do you guys know?
Do you?
No,
really?
Nobody knows.
Cunningham. Cunningham.
Right. The more important one is actually the makeup artist, because we're looking at horror, we're looking at death, and it's, of course, Tom Savini.
Savini.
I didn't forget his name this time. You thought I would do, but you didn't forget. I didn't forget his name this time. So we got the trope is so.
And actually, you know, Meph, he got the role because of the work that he did on what movie?
No
we
idea.
just reviewed it.
Oh, really? He did
Dawn of the Dead.
He did Scream?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, they actually went forward in the future and saw Scream and went like, "Oh, we got to hire this guy." I mean,
he worked with George Romero on that
yep.
one. Oh,
yep.
Cool. So let's start off with what is actually happening. We've got a camp of. Oh, I want to get to this. Exactly. Come on. Yes. New computer and everything. The first scene
That's you,
of the movie.
Buddy. You have Cinema Deathmatch uploaded there, but what? You're showing Cinema Deathmatch right now.
Oh. I'm not this? This is not Cinema
Deathmatch. That appears to be the start of the movie.
That appears to be the start of the movie. I don't know what you're watching.
Oh, I'm not seeing that screen. Oh, well. Anyway, doesn't matter. Moving on. I know what you're talking about, so.
Okay. So we've got a few kids singing the Kumbaya. I don't remember, but it doesn't really say Camp Crystal Lake at the beginning. There's no sign. The sign comes up a little bit later. We got the kids who sing Kumbaya. Then a couple goes up, and they, of course, get murdered after they're having or just before they were actually having the sex. Also, the trope that you were talking about. And this kind of sets up the movie, because after this, we've got our titular star, that, of course, I don't remember the name of. Is it not Alice? Is it Annie?
Alice.
Alice is the blonde.
Alice is our final girl. Yes.
Yep.
But it sets up this part.
Oh, yeah, I think her name is Annie. I think you're right.
Annie.
Yes, there is Annie.
Who comes into town and goes into Frank's, and she asks to go to Camp Crystal Lake because she's going to be a cook there, and every one of those that little tavern or whatever it is are looking at her kind of weird until the one guy suggests, I'll take you halfway there, and she goes with him. And on the way, we get the other trope that you were talking about, Mr. Ralph,
Yes.
with that. All right.
You're
Comment section down
doomed.
below,
You're
please.
doomed. You're all doomed.
I
Yes.
love Ralph.
So what's his job here, except for being like sort of an let's say the canary in the coal mine, or if you want to go with a Greek tragedy, he's the choir who tells the truth.
He is kind of a soothsayer of just a portent of ill intent and just eventual just nightmares to come.
I mean, we don't get any information about this guy except for he's the crazy one. Later on, there's that scene with the cop where he's looking for Ralph because he disappeared, or he's looking for somebody else. But he says, "Well, look, this guy Ralph is mucking about, and he's you know, he's been crazy before, so just watch out."
Well, because the direct line he says is, whenever Ralph has one of his crazy nights, I end up having to do a night's worth of paperwork, and he ends up spending a week in jail.
Yeah, something like that. But I had an epiphany, not really an epiphany, but we all know how this movie ends, right? We all know who's the killer, we know everything because it's the matter of time. But if you're watching this for the first time and you're like, oh, maybe Ralph is the killer, because we don't see the killer until everybody's dead, and actually we have only Alice that remains, and she meets Mrs. Voorhees. There's a sort of a suspicion because, well, this is crazy Ralph, right? He might be the killer because he's talking about beware and everyone's dead and that sort of thing. But he also gives us a little bit of information. I'm always trying to look at it where it's a person that didn't watch the movie, and what would he think about this character? Hello, Fisticuffers. Do you have anything to add?
Oh man. I mean, like, honestly, I did not think about this character that deeply, right? Because I just left him as just like, yep, he's just that guy, like it. I don't know. Give me a second to gather my thoughts on this. You can come.
No worries. We're gonna
Okay. In the interim, I'll just point out some fun little side facts. I love that the first introduction that we get to the movie is the giant screen splash of it cracking the glass at the beginning.
Yeah.
Do you know whose brilliant idea that was?
George Romero.
No, it was Steve Cunningham's, and he actually went out. 'Cause originally, we talked about this backstage beforehand, but originally the film was originally supposed to be titled "A Long Night at Camp Blood." When he read the script, he decided to change it to Friday the 13th because it sounded more ominous.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that he did was he actually put out an ad with that big Friday the 13th splash logo out to Variety before production had even started on the film.
Ooh.
So he just did it after it was greenlit? Like he got the go ahead, didn't start anything, and just immediately started.
Yeah, just what.
That's awesome.
That's
a choice.
Very ballsy move on his behalf.
I mean, there were a few movies along the way. Not all of them horror, but there were a lot of movies that got like a big PR push because the idea was there, and they filmed nothing. Nobody knew nothing, and it was all kind of vague, but it was all to catch the eye and maybe to gauge a little bit of interest. And mostly every time they did that, it kind of worked. I'm trying to remember which one it was. There was a movie in the 2000s that did that. I'm going to remember it later. But there was a movie in the 2000s, like 2002, 2003. I just don't have it it's like in the tip of my tongue. I think they were in pre-production. They had the lead. They had the script done, but they haven't really started, and they already pushed everything out. just don't remember which one it was. It
Oh.
could be Spider-Man 2. It could be Spider-Man 2. I just don't remember at the moment. So we've got.
And I was going to say the other thing too, from the introduction, that just a real quick bit is the score by Harry Manfredini is one of the classic horror scores, and he did I think it was up to either the 6th or 7th Fisty, if I'm not mistaken. He scored all of up to Friday the 13th part 6 or 7, and then of course the titular kill, how he did that was he took the phrase that Mrs. Voorhees was saying at the end when she's taking like the personification of Jason or something, like, kill them, mommy, kill them, and going kill, ma, 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 ma. And he said that into a reverb echo machine and has had it play back. And that's where that's from.
You know, for a very long time, I thought it was Halloween that started that, but no. Actually, no. I was wrong. Yeah, go ahead.
What's funny is like this movie, like I didn't see it when I was younger, and even I was in on the debate. Like this was the never-ending debate of what that sound was, because everyone it was either kill ma or it was J son. So some people thought it was saying Jason. Some people thought it was just you know, like it was great to see. Just no, there was no consistent answer. But like prior to the internet, everyone was just going back and forth in it, like my entire childhood.
I'm on the camp.
Yeah.
It
was this guy. He just got cut ma. From kill, ma, ma, ma. It just to ma, 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 ma.
Yeah, when you reverb, it kind of changes.
Yeah, it echoes and elongates
and re-echoes.
Yeah, it's great.
Damn, can you hear that? By the way,
yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on behind you, buddy.
Right. Keep going. Let's discuss Alice. Go.
You know, okay. I have mixed thoughts on Alice. We'll get to what she does towards the end of the movie, right? When we get there, and I think she made up some ground for like final girl points. I think she did, but throughout the movie, like especially looking at other horror movies, right? Like you look at Halloween and stuff like that. Like I don't feel like Alice had that final girl.
Very
energy.
sorry, guys.
She had some of the tropes to be like, oh, like you're legally obligated to be final girl because like you're the nice person who's like clearly like the wholesome. But beyond that, I feel like she didn't really have final girl energy.
No, I wholeheartedly agree, because most final girls have at least something that certain je ne sais quoi or some personality trait that you find interesting about them. Like Sydney in Scream was self-reliant and intelligent. And if you go to like any of the I just blanked on her name. That's terrible. The main protagonist in most of the Friday the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, Nancy.
Yep, Nancy.
Nancy is smart and sarcastic and very witty. They're all that have this certain thing about them. She is almost just an absolute cipher. Outside of like, I'm kind of nice and I may want to go back to California.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you agreed. I'm not the only one, because I rewatched this movie recently and I was like, what is Alice, man? She just exists. Like she's just there at the start of the movie, and then she's just like there at the end of the movie, and she does some right shit at the end, but the beginning is just.
Yeah. I mean, if you would have taken away,
I'm sorry. The whole thing with her is they're trying to establish her as the more competent. I had like I said, I had to look very critically, like twice this week. She is the most competent one of them all because, and it's very, very, very particular, she's the only one that has hammer and nails, and she can do it. The other ones, and that's including the guys, do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, because there's the guy who's just painting.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, the Bill.
And the painting, and then you've got your comedic relief who's not doing anything useful.
And almost kills one of the other girls, which I don't remember. There's Alice. Yep. There's Marcy, who's with Kevin Bacon's, who is
Jack.
I think it's Jack. Mm-hmm. We've got Bill or Billy, and Ned is the funny guy.
Yep.
What's the name of the other girl? Do you remember?
Brenda.
Is it Brenda?
Mm-hmm.
Brenda. Yeah, Brenda.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Brenda is literally, they depict her as somebody who's semi-competent because she carries a bale of hay to in the shooting range, and the stupid idiot Ned is literally shooting a deadly arrow, almost killing her. Damn, that was that was stupid.
Side note, just real quick. Do you know it's funny that they hired Kevin Bacon, the actress who played Brenda, Marcy, and the actor that played Ned at the same time?
Yeah, really?
Do you know why?
They just showed up that day.
No, they all knew each other and recommended each other for the roles.
Nice.
And they
That's
hired
awesome.
them, all four of them, on the spot.
Yeah, I like.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, do you happen to know like what people were compensated for their roles in this? Because I know the budget was pretty tiny.
It was very, very, very little money. Kevin Bacon took the role because it was supposed to be a dramatic role, and when they had callbacks for the second time, do you know, he goes, I thought something was rather odd when they asked me to put on a swimsuit.
Like, this is Kevin Bacon post Animal House, pre
Yes.
Footloose.
Correct.
So
this is his second film ever.
This is his second film ever?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he? Oh, never mind. But yeah, so he had a,
because he did some episodes on a TV soap, which Fisty called Guiding Light, way back in the 80s.
It's like you're saying, oh, he was on, I don't know, The Young and the Restless for 7 episodes. He was, I don't know, Bill, the pool cleaning guy.
I don't remember Bill, the cleaning guy. Oh, that was the best role of that series.
I know. Speaking of Bill, do you know who that is?
No. Tell me.
That's Harry Crosby. That's Bing Crosby's son.
Nice.
Yeah.
And he did absolutely nothing after that. By the way,
he became an investment banker.
So he did something.
He did something.
There's a scene later on where the main dude, he comes from the family who owns the place, right? By the way, he is super creepy.
Oh, like, Steve Christie? Oh, yeah.
Was he actually found in real life molesting people? Because he has those fucking eyes. Now, the mustache does not help. But when he helps, like, Alice, like, he helps her after she, like, bends the thing. And it's like, oh, please stay for another week. It's like, if you're supposed to be a strong, confident woman like Alice, the end girl, and you don't pick up on that guy, holy shit balls, because you are insane. Because that guy was creepy. So I was going for, there's a scene where he goes to the diner, and there's an old lady there.
Oh, she's thirsty.
I thought she was super. Yeah, I know. I know. I thought she looked very familiar, but she didn't do any roles before that. She has like one credit, and she died within the year of this coming out. She died like 81-ish, something like
really?
that. Oh, so she was. This movie's filled with people that basically did nothing after this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nothing. And I do mean like even the driver who drove Annie, the truck driver. I don't know. I think his name is Rex or something like that, or the actor's name is Rex. He's like a stand-in or an extra in loads of other things. He in the movie itself, he's not credited. He's credited as a driver or a truck driver. Yeah. He doesn't even have a name. Yeah. So everybody's setting up.
So on that one little last bit between Steve and Alice, the thing that should have been the final line in the sand is when he just gently brushed her face at the end of that. I'm like, I noping the fuck out of here. I gotta go now.
And, by the way, this movie, for our female audience, there is a lot of unnecessary touching, grabbing, everything, but it's very much of the time. Very, very much of the time.
Are you saying it was acceptable in the 80s?
It
it
was
was acceptable at the
technically it
time.
wasn't acceptable at the time. They just did it. You understand what I'm saying? It's not
It's
about
like
being
looking.
acceptable.
Yeah, it's like looking back at old James Bond movies where I was watching through them start to finish, and you're like, that's just not. You're like that's not a cute date. Like
And
that's
it's
just
not about
sexual assault. You're like
yeah,
that's just
and
not
it's not
okay.
about being
Yeah.
chauvinistic or feministic. It's about I'm not gonna do that. It's basic stuff. I understand when you're in conversation or with your significant other, you do a little bit more than usual, but it's like with someone you absolutely don't know, that's not even not a real life situation. You wouldn't do that as a normal functioning human being. But
Yeah.
you know,
Which is
we'll
also
let it
why I really
slide.
wanted to watch this Friday the 13th, because any of the other ones, especially up to part 4, there are just horror stories about things that happened on set
Oh,
and
really?
yeah,
I bet. I
massive
bet.
drug abuse. One of the actresses that was depicted on film topless was underage at the time, and
Oh, Jesus.
yeah, there's all
Uh,
kinds of things that just go off
Look,
the rails.
I'm not going to go into that, like dive deep into that. But there were a lot of what do you call underage? It's like underage in California or underage in Connecticut.
She was
That's different.
15 years old.
Okay, that's fine. That's off. That's off limits. Okay. So moving on.
Fisty, no, the head shake. That was like, no.
Nope.
That's not for me. That's not for me. All right, so Annie gets dropped off at a certain point, and then she gets picked up by a Jeep that looks like the camp director's Jeep, the creepy guy.
Mhm.
And you're like, oh, it's probably him, but you never see his face. And then she realized that we missed the turn, and she gets nervous, and she jumps out. Now, how the hell did she manage to get up and start running? Suspend your disbelief. The one thing that I liked about this, where she goes off, she says that she loves children and she hates that people call them kids because it sounds like they're treating them like goats. I didn't get that at all. I don't know who wrote the script. I don't know who wrote that line, but that's just stupid. That's just dumb.
Well, it was trying to really portray how wholesome of character Annie was.
Yeah.
See, the thing is this scene makes Annie final girl energy. She's
Yeah,
like, I'm in
completely.
it for the children. Like, I love the kid. She's got that like wholesome vibe that you often get in the final girl. And then she like things start to go wrong, and she hits the big red button. She's like, we missed the turn. You are driving. I'm just diving out. I'm just going for it. I'm going to wander through the woods without my luggage and find my way to camp. Like, that is final girl energy, man. Like that's the one thing that I was like, just swap those guys.
The thing is, it could be that is your exact subvert your expectation without saying,
Fair.
"Oh, we're subverting our expectations," right? Maybe they did that. I have no idea. I'm just guessing. Maybe they did that to get the vibe where she is scrappy. She will jump out of a moving car, but she's the first one to go.
Yeah, but Ms. Voorhees
Right.
is still coming.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Miss Voorhees is still coming, right? So moving right along, we are doing this bit where shall we do the one in the lake where the stupid Ned guy is drowning, so everybody jumps away. And this is not exactly where it is, but it's very hard to pinpoint the exact kind of scene. But this is where our Ned, our like goofy guy. Oh, I'm drowning. They pull him out, and of course, somebody has to do mouth to mouth. There's no way a guy would do mouth to mouth, right?
It's the 80s.
So
It's
the
illegal.
girl does it,
Yeah.
and she gets grabbed, and of course, she doesn't really enjoy that. Brenda is not into it.
Brenda. Yes.
Brenda
And
is
that,
not-
again, that's another depiction of like, oh, that's cute, that's funny. No, I'm sorry, that's assault. That's not cool. And
But-
that, you know, it's oddly enough a movie, a kids movie called The Sandlot did the same thing.
Yeah.
Or the young
know what
boy
you're
was
talking about.
drowning and he was pretending to drown, so the really hot lifeguard would give him mouth to mouth, and he literally just grabbed her.
I
It was like,
think
and as a kid, you're like,
think that's
oh,
someone
that's
else
funny. But
too.
in retrospect, you're like, nope, that's not cool.
So the one upside that this scene has for me, like, because I was thinking the same thing when I was rewatching. I was just like, one, like, this dude is pretending to drown for way too long. Like, even not even getting to the assault part yet. Like, this is just so not okay. But when they dive into the water, I can't remember who it is, but I think it's the guy who's standing on the right.
It's Kevin Bacon and the girl who plays Brenda.
Okay, so then it would have been Kevin Bacon. He goes to dive into the water, and he doesn't dive. He just belly flops like as hard as you can see. He just dives straight out and just slaps his stomach on the water.
Right,
and I just started laughing every time.
Brenda does a swan dive in, and he's like splat.
He's like a brick wall.
Right. He just splats on the water. It's like, oh shit. This guy is supposed to like protect children in about a month or whatever the camp is supposed to open up. So Mrs. Voorhees watches through the bushes, and I think Alice kind of looks at the bushes but doesn't really discern anything, and Billy says, nah, it's nothing, don't worry about it. So they come back, and we've got the cop kind of warning them about what's going on, and he's warning them about Ralph and just that sort of thing. And he's
what are you smoking? Are you high, son?
Yeah. You're doing the drugs? Yeah, it's kind of. I can't even remember the line. It's so cheesy. Like, it's so bad.
I would put it on, but again, it's all about. I can't really. It's copyright stuff. But yeah, I get what you're saying. So he comes in. He sees a bunch of kids. He's all about. Are you high right now? Are you into mushrooms and stuff? No, not me.
Are you smoking, son? Kevin's Bacon response is like, no, I don't smoke. Smoking causes cancer.
Yeah. Which is exactly the response.
I'm a petulant little shit.
You see, but like the thing is I would expect that response from every kid wearing a like Dare t-shirt, which like in the US is like the kids program where like the cops come into your school and they're like, if you smoke a weed once, like you're gonna turn into a prostitute and die on the streets 3 months later, and you're like, okay. But that's the response that I expect from the kid wearing that shirt who's clearly stoned. When the officer's like, you smoking? You're like, nah, man, causes cancer, bro. Like,
all right. So before we continue with this lovely podcast, we're going to do our first segment of the evening. And why the hell did that window close? Oh, every week. Every freaking week. All right. So our first segment is our poster quiz, where we take posters that have no text and we display them for our guests and, of course, Oh My Feelings and you guys in the chat, who I didn't say anything before, but I'm sorry. We've got let's go, Brandon, and we've got Saphira as well. This is it. Let's put it up. 10 posters. Take a guess. Which movie is this? Go on. Little Fisticuffer is the guy who needs to guess.
I know it.
See, this is the worst part. This is such a popular movie. I can recognize it. I have no idea what movie it is. I'm like, how to lose it? How to do the 30? Like, there's just so many options of generic movie title that can fit in here.
Yes, I know it has a very generic movie title, which you almost got.
Is it? How to Lose a Guy in 30 Days? Something like that?
No, but 30's in the title.
30. Oh, it's not 30. On 30. It's See, I'm telling you, man, there's too many 30s.
Yeah, there's. Thanks, Seth. I'll look at it in a second. This is 13
going on 30.
Oh, so I did say it.
Yes.
Oh, sweet. Oh man, this one I don't know either.
I got it. Any idea, bud?
Said my mic sounds very hollow. It's
I think Bridget Jones's Diary.
Thank you. I hope my mic is better. By the way, how am I signing to you guys? By the way,
you sound fine to me.
You sound fine to me.
Okay. Seth says I sound a bit hollow. Next.
Oh, Charlie's Angels.
Which one?
Oh, that's cruel.
I know.
We're gonna go with the first one.
No, this is Full Throttle.
Throttle.
Wow.
This is one of 3. The other 2 have Demi Moore on them, which makes it very obvious it's the second one.
Got it.
Now, the other movies that you mentioned.
Oh God, is this How to Lose a Guy in 30 Days?
How to Lose a Guy in
Just 3 days? 3 days.
10 days.
10 days. Shit.
10 days. Nice.
Oh, Mean Girls.
Nice. That's easy.
Oh God, she's a cop of some sort.
She's a lady.
Yeah, no, I can. Oh,
also has.
You're right. These are all on a theme, by the way. I see what you're doing.
William Shatner and Candice Bergen in it.
Miss Congeniality? No.
Yes! You
no,
got
is
it.
it?
You
Got
got
it.
it. You got it. Miss Congeniality. The first one, by the way.
This seems like it would be some like Wizard of Oz thing, but I have no idea. Like my first thing was like Wicked, but
but the title is not Wicked and not Wizard of Oz. It is the Wizard of Oz.
This one, I don't think he'll get.
All right, it stars James
Oz, Franco. The Great and Powerful.
Oz,
oh yeah, never would have gotten that.
Powerful.
It's a bad movie.
Yeah, it's a really bad movie.
Devil Wears Prada.
Devil Wears Prada. This one I don't
Jack
think
Black's face is really creepy in this. I don't know why, but I'm getting very serious. Like he's gonna start strangling her.
When has Jack Black face in any poster that he was smiling was not creepy?
You know, I now need to like go look at a history of his posters because I'm curious.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like School of Rock, he was screaming. Tenacious D in The Pick of Destiny, screaming.
No, he wasn't smiling. When he was smiling, it looks super creepy. He looks like this, exactly like this. With the eyes and everything.
I feel like I can picture the text is white and red in here. I feel like if I remember correctly. And I have no idea. I'm just gonna take a shot in the dark of a random movie. We're going to Love Actually.
No, good guess though. It's called The Holiday.
The Holiday.
The Holiday. I hate that I recognize all of these. I'm like, yeah, it's that movie I saw at Blockbuster 47 times and never picked up.
Let's go, Brandon got it. Not this one, the other one.
Yeah, no, the last one. I'm gonna let chat take this one for me.
Yeah, let's go. We've got 20 seconds. Oh, my feelings. Do you know this one?
The Princess Diaries.
The Princess Diaries.
I know a lot of really dumb movies, Fisty.
That's okay. My brain kept going Princess Bride. I was like, it's not the Princess Bride. I know the Princess Bride. Like I was like, I know it's not that, but it's Princess something. I got nothing in my head.
I would show you the Princess Bride one because I think we had it like in the first or second episode.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
I don't have all my library here. My library is actually at my old computer, now stationed at work. I had a bit of a switcheroo, thank heavens, by the way. All right, so we continue. After, of course, the cop comes in, we have this scene. Yes, I said.
Yes. Oh God, this scene bothers me for a myriad of reasons.
Okay.
But please go.
So you would expect the last girl, being Alice, to be a little bit more resilient, a little less scary, and also I would not ever sleep in that fucking place again after I saw that snake. Because she had to call Bill, and Bill brought everybody else, and what they did was trash the entire room. They trashed the room. Also, Kevin Bacon literally destroyed one of the beds in order to get a snake.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. What the fuck they were doing in this one? Please give me ideas because I'm lost.
What?
So I guess I might be stealing your fun fact here. This is actually not a fun fact at all. It's a terrible fact.
No, you are. It's okay though.
This scene was not planned. They just found a real snake basically and went, let's kill this animal. So that like it's not a stage thing at all. So they probably had no idea what the fuck they were gonna do for the scene, and they were just like, haha, we do a thing. And I know that like the cast has come out later and been like, I feel so horrible about what we did, but like that's a scene that I was like, I wanted to just like look away when I was rewatching it, especially knowing that fact. It's
actually somewhat worse than that.
Is it?
It was one of the PA's pet snakes.
Oh, that's right.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
they murder his animal on screen.
It's probably not poisonous as well.
No,
it was a harmless snake. It was not like a venomous or poisonous snake.
It didn't like. I'm not a snake expert, but it didn't look. It looks one of those prop snakes because they usually use two kinds when they have to not use like because in Indiana Jones they actually use cobras and asps, but there was a plain glass window protecting the actor, so he could be like Harrison Ford could be right in the face of that shot. When they have to use like a prop thing, I think they used two or three kinds. One they used in Last Crusade, which is like a black snake with a yellow stripe on the side. Don't know the name. We'll never know the name. The other kind is like a red snake that has white bands every so often. And the other one, which looks the more menacing, is this one, where it's like an all-black snake. Again, I don't know the name of it. The chat might know. I have no idea. But those are the two or three kinds that they actually use for prop because they don't bite. They just move. They're just snake-like. They're very harmless. But yeah, I didn't know it was an improv scene, and I definitely didn't know it was one of the PA's fucking snake. Damn, that's horrible. That's really horrible.
I forgot about that part of it. Yeah, because he was like yelling and screaming off camera after it happened because they didn't know that they were just gonna do that to him.
So while Alice is fixing up after all that hullabaloo, Alice is fixing up the kitchen because Annie's not there. And of course, who shows up in the pantry? Why, it's fucking Ralph.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I just like that's the best. It's like what they're like. Okay, you could have had like Ralph like storm into a cabin and like start yelling, being the kid. No, dude is just in the pantry. He's just like how long was he there? Did he get here the afternoon? And it's just like, you know, your grandpa with Alzheimer's is like lost. Is sitting on the park bench. Was he just in the dark pantry? Like they're gonna come in. How long was he there? What is Ralph doing? I need to know.
Ralph is crazy. You don't need to understand everything. It just seems a bit out of place.
Yeah.
I mean, I would get like in terms of actually setting up the scene and everything. I get that they wanted a jump scare. That's what they're doing. But couldn't you get like a jump scare where they're sitting in the cabin and suddenly Ralph bursts in the door? That's a way more plausible. No, they had to put him there because it's a trope jump scare. The murderer must be in the pantry. Well, later on, kind of is, but not really. They're in the bathroom. But yeah, I didn't get it. Didn't like it. There's a lot of things about this movie I didn't quite like. I mean, we'll get to it at the end, but man,
and I still just love his rant as he's going away. You're all doomed. You're all gonna die. You must run away. You're all doomed. And I'm gonna get on my bicycle.
Yes, and just ride away. Yeah, so we get a little bit of exposition where everybody's they were all together. Now they're a little bit apart, and then they come back together, and then they go off to their own separate rooms where have Marcy and Jack kind of discussing where Jack kind of tries to smooth into her pants, but not really. He's not doing a good job here because she's leading the entire conversation, by the way. But that kind of leads up later into them going to bed.
They do have a little side conversation there where she tells him about that recurring nightmare that she has about a massive thunderstorm because there's a thunderstorm rolling in, which plays off later. And how all the rain turned to blood and the blood was flowing everywhere and into the rivers. And she just stops her there and goes, I don't know. I thought that was a really weird dream. And it's just like, how am I supposed to follow up with a comment after you said something like that?
I mean, in today's movies, she would probably say something like, "Oh, I probably dreamt about my period next week" or something like that. They're always put in like the period joke. It seems out of place. I was looking for it; it didn't happen, and I was like, "Oh, at least okay."
Yeah.
They missed one trope.
Yeah,
This one, yeah.
They missed one. Yeah.
And I will say that the conversation that Marcy and Jack have, they at least show that they are friends with Brenda and Ned outside of this whole experience. Because Marcy generally says, I'm kind of worried about Ned. He's always acting like a jerk. It's like, well, Ned's just going to be Ned, and that's just how he is. So there's a little bit of character development there in the movie. There's not much, granted, but there's a little bit of character development.
A little bit. We get this, which basically I see this as hearkening back to the opening scene where the camp counselors were like playing guitar and then going off and doing their thing. Where we have this scene where I don't think is Jack and Marcy even here. They're not here, right?
No, they're off doing their own thing.
Doing their own thing, right?
Holding hands.
Yeah, they're holding hands.
In the biblical sense.
Yeah, vigorously, I should say. So we have this scene where we have Brenda, Alice, and Bill, where they play a little bit of guitar, and then, what is it to do here? Okay, let's play Monopoly. Oh no, not Monopoly, Naked Monopoly. And I was like, how the fuck do you play Naked Monopoly? Please explain to me.
It's the worst game choice. It's hilarious.
It's like strip poker, but with Monopoly.
Yeah, I just like, you got like Park Street. Guess I gotta, it just doesn't make sense. Like the game goes on for too long. That alone, how many articles of clothing do you have? Because the game's gonna go on another hour and a half after everybody's just sitting there naked, and now you're just naked and playing Monopoly. Like it's the worst game choice. It's like they forgot to get a game, and the cabin that they were using just happened to have that. And they're like, well, forgot the checkers board or the poker cards. So I guess we're just doing Monopoly now.
Monopoly.
Yep. So, oh shit.
I say one other thing. I was gonna say,
I literally pressed, and it was tit shot. No.
Yep. Can't do that one. No, I was gonna say, Fissy, that you mentioned about Final Girl energy. Brenda before this had all Final Girl energy too.
Yeah,
that's right.
Up until she's like, oh yeah, by the way, now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna play this, then we're going to smoke pot and we're going to drink beer. But the thing is, the difference between her and Alice, which makes Alice still the final girl, is it wasn't Alice's idea to play the game. That's the only sin that she did not commit.
Yeah, the peer pressure is allowed for the games, just not for the vigorously holding hands. That's the one that's like the unbreakable rule. If you vigorously hold hands, you got to die.
And like Scream taught us, one of the tropes is the final girl needs to be wholesome. She needs to be a virgin. She needs to not have the sex or not do any of the sinful things. Now, Alice, during the competition, Brenda gets like half naked. Bill's almost fully naked. And then Alice kind of lands on the place where she has to take off something. She starts to take off her blouse, but we've got like a power outage, or you hear like a scream or something like that, and it doesn't happen.
And then it's really funny too, because right then they all of a sudden go, well, time for bed.
Yeah, exactly. And
we'll continue this game tomorrow. It's like, that does not know. Have you had a human interaction before? That's not how that goes at all, ever.
And the whole point is to conserve Alice from taking off her blouse, basically. Yeah. So we see during that, because it cuts from Jack and Marcy to Brenda and Bill and Alice, and Jack and Marcy have the sex, and then they off to bed, and Marcy goes off to do the bathroom. But while they're having sex, it cuts to, because it's a bunk bed, it cuts to Ned already has his throat slashed.
Mhm.
and we're waiting for. Wait a minute. If his throat is slashed, why is it not dripping a massive amounts of blood on them while they're having the sex? Because the bed is fucking shaking, right?
Well, the thing is, too, he was killed at a different part of the camp altogether because he was
Yep.
walking off by himself. And
Yeah,
when
he went to
he
like
saw
the
Mrs.
boats or anything.
Voorhees
Yeah,
on the side, and he goes, "Well, didn't recognize who the hell that was, obviously, because it's only supposed to be them on the camp." So he goes to investigate it, and it's one of those other off-screen deaths that just
yeah.
happens.
There's technically a lot of off-screen death. I think only Marcy gets killed on screen with the axe.
Marcy,
Brenda
Marcy,
gets killed off screen.
Jack.
Bill gets killed off screen. Jack
Okay.
gets killed in front of our face as well. Jack and
So
Marcy are the only ones who get killed on camera.
and Annie,
Oh yeah, and Annie.
Annie did
Oh
too.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
The other ones are off screen. You see them dead, but you don't see what. Well, you can guess what killed Bill, but you don't. We don't even know what killed Brenda. She gets pushed at some point. She gets pushed into a window, and you see her with lots of blood and rope, but you don't see what actually killed her. But we get to this point where Ned is already dead. Marcy's going off, getting dressed, and while she's getting dressed, because it cuts from one. At this point, it cuts from one place to another, to another, to another, until Kevin Bacon is dead, and then it doesn't cut to him at all. Because the only character who actually finds bodies is Alice. Jack doesn't find Ned on top of him. He just sees blood, and then he gets shanked with an arrow, right?
Which it's that I mean, like I love that kill so much. I think it's such a cool shot. And I'm actually curious. I've been always been meaning to look up, like every time I see it, that I'm like, I gotta look up how they did that, because in the 80s they got real creative.
Oh, I can tell you how I did it.
Oh, well then let's get into it. I don't
Yeah.
need to Google
So
it.
Go
what they did was from the neck down, it's actually Kevin Bacon's body is going like this at an angle. So the top portion of his body is actually a prosthetic.
Okay.
So when they have it actually pushed through, the arrow goes through his throat. They actually, Tom Savini at the bottom had to blow air into a hose to go up. So that's when Kevin Bacon actually even looks kind of surprised when the blood spurts in his face.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's very easy to do this because when you see, I'm just trying to these shoulders.
Mhm.
That's maybe his, but this tank top is the dummy, and this, you can see here where they maybe put like
that's where the prosthetic
prosthetic
Yeah.
starts.
That makes sense.
Or the extra. There's always like extra that they put in, especially when it's physical. So the extra could be this and have the gold chain as a buffer, so where they know in terms of cinematically where it actually starts.
And it's actually really
it's
super
really
cool because there's a little tagline that sets up that scene where he goes, "Ah, wow, it's actually getting kind of cold in here," and he only puts the tank top on.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. That's
to
awesome.
hide the prosthetic.
Yeah.
Let's just say there's lots of choices where it was the characters themselves seemed to be very reasonable at one point, and then they were not reasonable. Because when the lights came off and Brenda and Bill and Alice went to check it out, they had their coats on. But when Alice heard something outside, they finished everything. Brenda comes back. She starts to read a book. She hears something, and she goes to the ladies' room. No, sorry. After she goes to the ladies' room, she sets up in the room and she starts reading, and there's like yelling, or the lights came off again. She goes outside without the coat, which is literally right there next to her. And she goes out with her nightgown in the rain, in the storm, and gets killed in the fucking archery. That was just stupid. Right, I'm gonna jump ahead because we're running out of time here.
I was gonna say, then we can just go over Marcy's death real quick because.
Yeah, go ahead. This is
No.
Brenda coming out into the rain. This is after Marcy is dead.
So Marcy's that was the other really good Tom Savini shot with that random cut with the prosthetic that was built with the axe in the face.
Yeah.
In the shower.
I'm
that was the other big good kill shot in the movie. And also outside of having sex in this, like she is almost a self-deprecating character who is the female comic relief in the movie in a bit, because when she's standing in the mirror talking to herself, like, oh, I always thought I was a plain Jane.
Yeah, it's really hard to pinpoint exactly that. So she's in the bathroom, but she goes out to the locker room and she goes, "Oh, you're here. No. Oh, you're there. Nah, I'm just imagining." Blam! She hits the fucking axe. Really hard to pinpoint exactly that. Sorry.
It's anyway. All right. It's just one of the other ones that like talking about on-screen deaths. That's the other really big one in the movie.
Yeah, I know.
If we're talking about the campers, yes.
Yes, the campers, yes.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah.
This one is a really cool effect.
Yeah.
How did they make this?
Tom Savini is just he could do a masterclass on prosthetic effects. This one, they actually did a dummy model of the head and the body, and that's why there's that big snap cut between her standing there and then just this shot.
Yeah.
And that's it. But oddly enough, that the axe right there, the way that it's originally set up is actually cut off at that point. So the rest of it's all just kind of glued on.
So she has to literally lift it with her face, but not really, because she has her head back on that board there. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it's a cool effect for 1980s slasher low budget movie. Have to put it in context, because we've seen Tom Savini in Dawn of the Dead. Not that good.
That was when they had the green powder makeup that made everybody like, I don't know, are you a Martian or are you a zombie?
Yeah, sort of like that.
I don't know.
So Brenda gets killed. Oh, the creepy counselor, the head counselor dude, Steve. He gets back. I'm trying to pinpoint that. That's after Brenda's killed, I think.
Well, his Jeep breaks down, which
his Jeep breaks down. There's a cop who picks him up and he puts him right at the camp while the storm kind of wanes down. There's no rain. He picks him up in the rain, and when he puts them in the I think it's not even at the camp, but right on the trail, because he has to go take care of some sort of emergency.
Yeah, he just does a U in the street.
Yeah, so Steve goes out, and it's after Brenda, like I said, after Brenda gets killed off stream, and
Steve is surprised by our killer.
Where we know he knows the killer, because he's like, "Oh, why are you here? We're only opening like in a week or two," and literally gets shanked. And of course the lights are still out because they fixed it and then they went off again.
The generator,
yeah. And Bill and Alice go and trying to get to call someone, and you see them breaking into the office, and they're trying the regular phone. It's out. They're trying the pay phone. It's out. Cut to it. The camera literally moves the shot away from them to see that the cord has been cut, to give an ominous thing. And Bill goes out and does something, and Alice goes out, and Bill's nailed to a fucking door with arrows.
There's a little bit of a change there, because initially they go to Brenda's cabin to find it just an axe in her bed.
Yes.
Like, that's not off-putting.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't there like very minimal blood? Like there was like I feel like
Yeah.
the blood was
there's
weird, but I can't
very
remember exactly what it
minimal blood.
was. But it was just like there was just like a little bit on the bed and like a little tiny bit, and you're like, what? It wasn't wiped off, but it was mostly wiped off. Like what? It was Voorhees bleeding when she put it there. Like it was weird. I remember that being
Yeah. And then, then everything with the phone line, and they try Bill's truck, and Bill's truck is no longer starting. Sorry, Ned's truck. It was Ned's truck. Yeah, Ned's truck's been sabotaged, so they can't do anything. So what happens is Alice goes off on her own, which also negative final girl energy on this Fisty. What does she do while Bill's going to go out and repair the generator? I'm terrified. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm going to take a fucking nap.
Yep.
What?
You gotta rest up. You gotta rest up to run at the end.
The choices that all these characters make are so stupid. Like leave the fucking killer, like mass murderer that is walking around. Their like regular decision making is so absolutely dumb. So she wakes up, the lights are on, or she sees the light, and she doesn't know where Bill is. She goes out to get him, and she goes into the barn where the generator is. She can't find him. She closes the door, and Bill is fucking dead. And she runs away screaming and shouting. Oh. And, of course, she meets up with Mrs. Voorhees.
Now, the one thing I have to say about Bill's death is, first and foremost, that makes no sense, because that little woman could not have lifted his body and put him up and then pinned him to that door with arrows. There is no way whatsoever. She did not have the physical strength to lift that body.
No, this is actually easy to explain. So, do you remember when Ned almost shoots at Brenda at the beginning of the movie? And he's got the arrow. So he goes, you want to see my trick shot? And he loads 4 arrows at once, and he's like just about to shoot all the arrows. That's just what Miss Voorhees did, and Bill just happened to jump out of fright, and she just got him. And that's clearly the explanation here. She shot 4 arrows at once, stuck them all in. He's floating in the door.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Thank you.
It's Kennedy and the magic bullet all over again. Bravo, sir.
So you mean it's up and to the left?
No, back and to the left.
Back and to the left. Anyways, we've got Mrs. Voorhees coming in for the rescue. Not ready. Don't worry, Mrs. Voorhees is here. I'll take care of you. And she goes, She is absolutely clueless. Absolutely clueless. I mean,
she has found she found Bill's body, and then she found Steve's body out in the woods so far.
Yeah.
And then she meets Mrs. Voorhees. Yes, so she doesn't know that everyone else is dead yet.
Yeah. And she goes a little bit nutsoid and very much hysteric. But as soon as Mrs. Voorhees turns, it seems like she's supposed to have that final girl energy, yet she's still... There's no tangible thing here. There's no magic here. I wanted to...
And correct me if I'm wrong too, Fisty. In a lot of situations where you watch slashers, like, you watch a lot of 80s slashers too. When you watch a final girl, you kind of root for her a little bit.
Yeah.
With Alice, I could not care less.
Yeah, no, it's very true. Like, do you always have that character where you're like, oh yeah, like this is the one, right? I mean, obviously the pinnacle. I know that I've referenced the movie already, but like the pinnacle for me is like Jamie Lee Curtis. She's a great final girl. Like, she's the one that you were like, she's got this. She's got this, right? And it's true for like most things. Or it's a final girl character where you're like, you don't necessarily like them as a person or whatever else, but you're like, dude, they got this in the bag. Like, it's clear as day. Alice was just very middling. She was just like, okay, like, yeah, cool. You do you. True.
Now, I have a problem here with Mrs. Voorhees. Mm-hmm. And my problem is very, very simple. She's a mass murderer. She kills everyone kind of efficiently when it's on camera, right? She catches Alice in one of the places. Now I want to be exact with this. Do you see what's there on the
Yes, all of the rifles.
All the rifles, right? And there's also tools, and there's an extra axe in that room. Okay,
Mhm.
what does she do when she catches her? She shakes her and slaps her. Oh, sure, shit. She slaps her twice. I was like, hello, mass murderer here. You're supposed to like kill her right then and there. No, she slaps her twice. She drops her she literally tosses her to the floor, which allows Alice to pick up some sort of crowbar and like hit Mrs. Voorhees once. Technically, you don't have to hit anyone more than once. It's a literally steel rod. She hits her on the temple where you can see a little bit of blood, and she runs off. What the fuck, Mrs.
Yeah.
Voorhees?
I will say too, one funny thing about that scene is the actress playing Mrs. Voorhees literally slapped the actress playing Alice.
Did she?
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
she struck her hard.
Damn.
So Alice just literally runs away, and where to go if not the pantry, because that's where Ralph kind of hides really, really well. He goes into the pantry. Mrs. Voorhees literally hits it like the shining axe, right? But she doesn't have a cool like line. But she hits it with an axe. She opens up the door, and Alice fry pans her to death, like PUBG. Fry pans her not to death, but she fry pans her to submission. And I was like, yeah, that would work in 2017, not in like 1980. It was just not done.
Yeah,
It was literally not done.
the other thing about that scene too is how she like blockades herself in the pantry when she gets in is she makes herself like as big and noticeable as possible while being as useless as possible because she's stretched across like this holding the doorknob so like you could see all the slits in the door. You'd be able to see her shadow in every single one of them, and she's like over here doing, and it's like, girl, you're not gonna kill the killer that way, man. You got to start looking, you got to start grabbing things. Eventually she gets the fry pan. But for the first half of that scene, she's standing there, and you're just like, "What are you doing?"
And that's why you don't have that last girl vibe in this, where you're like, you hit her once, you got it, you got it. No, she runs away and hides in. It's not the most obvious place, but and she hits her with a frying pan, and of course you think it's over, so she goes away from the trail, moving away from the camp. No, she goes into the lake. Why? Reasons? I have no idea why. So, and she just sits there. She just sits there. I mean, the crowbar didn't kill her, so the frying pan did. She just sits there. And it drove me fucking up the wall. Why? She's not doing anything. And it's like this. It's set pieces. There's where they keep the rifles. That's the set piece where she gets slapped. Then it's a set piece in the kitchen. Now it's a set piece on the beach where it's basically the final battle. But there's no tension. There's Mrs. Voorhees doesn't stalk her, and Alice doesn't do anything to really run away. She doesn't really tries to get away. She's just there, and it drove me up the wall. I think it's a major flaw in the script. I don't know. Maybe it's again we don't know, but maybe there was budget concerns. Something's missing.
The one thing I'm glad you brought up, because I don't think we've really talked about it yet, is the stalking. Is Miss Voorhees stalking? Like, I love those shots throughout the movie, especially going back and watching it the second time or after the second time, knowing that it's Miss Voorhees and whatever else, and those like the weird, just kind of creepy camera angle stuff like that. But you're right. I think it would have been awesome if they would have had more of those shots towards the end during the final chase and fight and stuff like that. Even if it was just shorter cuts and whatever else, I think having those stalking scenes would have added to that tension for sure.
because like the whole 1 hour of the movie, like 50, for the first 50 minutes, basically just Annie gets killed, and then it goes into gear. Up until that point, we got
Yep.
quite a bit. I think it's like 5 or 6 shots where it's stalking shots with the
Mhm.
the whole the recognizable thing. And after the, let's say, the action portion where everybody gets killed every 5-8 minutes, there's nothing. And you would expect the whole out, like I would say out Alice, let me fucking Bill basically gets killed. Yeah, there's 20 minutes. The last 20 minutes is everybody's dead. It's just Alice. About 20 minutes of the last. So that's a long time to establish maybe she's stalking her on the way to the kitchen. Maybe she's stalking her on the way to the lake. No, there's nothing. And it kind of sucks because you can build that tension. You can do that with basically faster cuts, like like Little Fisticuff said. And of course, the final battle, where we introduce the most recognizable thing of this entire franchise is the machete. She leaves the axe behind. She gets the machete. She comes in with the machete. Alice kind of overpowers her with the oar. Then she picks up the machete and lobs the fucking head away. And that was a cool shot. I mean,
Yep.
you would expect that in like a slasher movie, somebody's head's being cut off. That shot was fucking cool.
And the one thing I love about that, Zito, if you pay attention, is the fact that the hands are clearly a man's hands.
Yes, I know.
With that dummy, it's Tom Savini's hands, and even the build.
Like I want to point out 2 things in this one, and I'm so glad I got the exact shot. This and that. That is actually the stuff that holds the head in place. It's like it's not 2 skewers, because skewers wouldn't cut properly. It's sort of a plastic thing, and it cuts real fast, but it's just strong enough to hold the head of the dummy that was up there. And the shot is so fast, it looks like one frame is actually like the actress, and the other frame, as soon as the machete hits here, actually cuts to a frame where it's the dummy, where it lobs off. The head kind of moves to the left or the right, doesn't matter, and it's just a continuing shot. It's a very nice, well done shot. One of the very few in this movie. I'm sorry, but I liked it. Shows really good like forward thinking, because it's literally frame this, frame next, frame is that. You could do that with like modern cutting tools. It's like that. With film, you need to be so exact about the placement of where the dummy is and where the actress was. You need to be super exact, and they caught it real nice.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get to the ending scene, and before we do our summarization, we're going to do our next segment of the night, which is Cinema Deathmatch. What is Cinema Deathmatch? We take 2 movies, pit them together, and see which one is the better one or our favorite. We all have our different criteria about this. Because little Fisticuffer is new here, we're going to give him a little bit of leeway. What we do is take movies, like we said, we go to flickchart.com. I'll put it up, and this is our first pairing, by the way. This is a good one. That's why I'm keeping it. At the end of the day, criteria: Friday evening, Saturday evening, out with the boys, out with the girls, or your significant other. Which movie do you pick from these 2? Little Fisticuffer, take it away. Which one would you pick?
I think you're muted, buddy.
You're muted, buddy.
I forgot I double muted there. This is actually a really tough choice for me. So full disclosure, Alien, like the original Alien, probably top 3 movie for sure, guaranteed. And then as we know, as the series goes on, Alien 3 happens. I haven't brought myself to watch it because I know I've seen enough of Alien 3 to know.
Alien 3?
I haven't been able to bring myself to watch it because I'm like, I don't want it to damage that. I mean, like, I've got a Xenomorph figure back here, and I still it's been at the top of my list for so long, and I'm just like,
definitely watch this.
Okay, well, but Meth, as he said, he hasn't seen it. You have to put it under haven't seen it. You gotta give it a fair shake.
I gotta give it a fair shake. Okay. That's an easier choice.
Yeah, I was gonna say this one for me is Ratatouille because it is the best depiction of a professional kitchen in a movie, along with Jon Favreau Chef and a couple other movies. Like I gotta go Ratatouille.
Cool. It's Shawshank.
That's always. I can't fight with Meth on this one because he goes on about the Shawshank Redemption is like his favorite movie of all time.
You don't understand. In my top all-time 5, there are a certain amount of movies. If you take away the original Star Trek trilogy, there's this and Big Lebowski, and this one is number 1 on that list. So it has to be Shawshank. Now, plus, all my feelings bowed down to my.
I gotta give it to you. You've given me high fidelity on so many occasions. I have to give you one there.
All right. In this pairing, I'll start. It is The Social Network. The only reason is I don't like musicals, and that's it. Basically it. By the way, I don't like Jesse. What's his face? Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I'll agree with that. The other thing that The Social Network has for me that is huge is that Trent Reznor did the score, and I think that he did a fantastic job with it. So what's funny is I'm not going to pick Sweeney Todd because I'm like, I don't want a musical, but I'm going to pick The Social Network because of the music.
Okay. Which I have to go with also The Social Network as well because I think besides The Social Network, Trent Reznor did the soundtrack for one of the greatest games of all time, Quake 2.
Interesting.
They just re-released that on vinyl recently too.
I know. It's
all right.
It's really good.
2 tough choices here. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, first one, and the first Ocean's 11. I'm really torn up on this one, by the way. So go ahead. You go first.
Well, here, feelings, you haven't gone first yet. We'll give you the first crack at this one.
Oh, damn you. You know, I'm a sucker for a heist film, and Ocean's 11 is one of the best modern adaptations of a heist film. But it's the first Lord of the Rings. I have to give it to that.
I would say it's, for me, really hard. Because you cannot watch just one of the Lord of the Ring movies. It's like stepping out of the first third of a book. It's really tough. I would say the Lord of the Rings, just because of how monumental it is.
I'm gonna be the outlier here because how you describe this to me, right, is you're talking Friday, Saturday night, you're with the boys, you're with the girls, you're with your group. I wouldn't put on Lord of the Rings. One, because of that is like I don't want to watch the first chapter of a 3-chapter book, and Ocean's 11 is just a fun movie. And if I'm just gonna put on a movie in the background or whatever else for people to watch, I'm going fun. And I think that Ocean's 11 is just a fun. Like Lord of the Rings is great. Don't get me wrong, but it's a commitment.
I would say yeah. If it's just that, I would go for Ocean's 11. But I just cannot pick Ocean's 11 over Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry. It's hard. All right. Meet the Fockers, which is the Meet the Parents number 2, or Fight Club. There is absolutely no competition here for us.
Now, should I go first on this one? Because I don't know if I don't know if you watched our review of Fight Club, but I wrote many pages and essays throughout my college career about Fight Club. I know that movie inside and out, and I still love it to death.
By the way, I fucking love this poster.
Yeah,
If I could get
that's a
that
great one.
without the Fight Club in it as the poster for the other segment, I would gladly take this one. Yeah,
That's
Fight
sweet.
Club for me, because not because of the podcast we did, is Meet the Fockers just took Meet the Parents, which was a very good concept, and just took it into the nonsense for me. It's still funny. It's actually funnier than the first one, but I would go Fight Club. We're gonna go two more. Come on, Flick Chart. It's not that hard.
Says.
Come on. There we go. Men in Black 2 or The Fifth Element.
That's a good one.
I actually
go
haven't
first.
seen. I haven't seen Men in Black 3. If we got to throw that out now, just
Oh,
FYI.
it's Men in Black 3.
Okay.
Never mind. That's even tougher. All right. 1997 it is. Are we going camp or are we going camp?
Essentially.
You want me to
Yeah.
start? I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Although I absolutely adore Austin Powers, Fifth Element is, for me, the best Luc Besson movie ever made after Leon.
Fair. Fisty?
I'm staying with him on this Fifth Element. I love the Austin Powers movies, especially I love James Bond movies, everything else. But at the end of the day, I gotta go Fifth Element.
I would say the only major glaring flaw in the Fifth Element is Chris Tucker, but besides that, the Fifth Element.
I fucking love Chris Tucker. It's the best role he ever did, maybe besides Friday. Never mind. I know Saf's in the chat. Teasing him.
Wow, Ocean's 11 again.
Or Twister. Easy for me. This one is Ocean's 11.
Yep, same. Yeah,
Right.
That's a unanimous.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, there is the scene that I used to think was hilarious when I was like 8 in Twister, where it's like the cow that moves as it's going
Oh,
around.
yeah.
Which, like, looking back is like really horrible, but I was 8 and thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Beyond that, Ocean's 11. Easy.
I mean, I love Helen Hunt. I love Bill Paxton. But Twister is not a good movie, and it's not a fun movie as well. It's not a fun movie. And, of course, Ocean's 11 is it's a favorite of mine. Come on. Go there. All right. Final scene of the movie.
Talk about lack of absolute Final Girl energy. What does Alice do after her giant confrontation with this monster of a person that has been chasing her? Takes a nap on a boat again. Girl, do you have narcolepsy or what?
What I'm trying to figure out, what was she thinking?
So I actually I this one I think has potential Final Girl energy in the thought process here. So if I remember correctly, I could be wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I think that there was, at this point in the movie, there was only one canoe on the dock. Like there was the one canoe that was there.
Yes.
So had she gone out, now think about the whole lore that she gave about Jason Voorhees. He's the boy who drowned. If this is some weird supernatural shit, or if there are people working with Miss Voorhees, or if Jason's actually still alive, he's probably not going to want to go in the water. What's going to be the safest place, just by that logic? Going out in the lake. Now, where it completely stops becoming Final Girl energy is she takes a fucking nap. You got to stay awake. You got to be alert. You got to be ready to, because when Jason pops up or something like that, you got to be ready to bonk. You got to be ready to just bonk and send him back down.
That's the whole surprise of the movie. I have to not get fucking striked by this.
And in the original script too, the big jump scare at the end with Jason, that was not included. The original's intent was that this was supposed to be the story about Mrs. Voorhees trying to he was trying to turn motherhood on its head, where she was the mother that you would really want, that would kill for her son, that loves him that much. This kind of jump scare was only added because Stephen Cunningham had just saw Carrie before production started and wanted a stinger at the end of the movie.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
By the way, the guy who's in the suit, he's like, I didn't know this, but he's like one of those people who I was in this famous movie and now I'm in every single like Comic-Con,
Yeah.
convention, Trek, whatever. He's in every one of those conventions as, oh, I'm the original Jason Voorhees. He's that guy.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
when you want to milk it, you got to milk it for some cash.
He
I mean,
absolutely milks it, and it's like I've seen a like few pictures of him. He's a good looking dude. He looks kind of nice. He fits within the geekdom. There's a bit of a bit of rock in him, a bit of metal in him, but he's like, I'm the original fucking Jason. That's it. That's the guy. Like, oh my god, you are
Yeah.
so lame. You are so lame. But this is like this is for anybody who watched this movie till the end. You get this scene, and it's sort of a dream scene, basically, where she gets taken down, but she wakes up at the hospital and she goes, "Oh, it's him! He's in the lake." It's like, "Oh, there's no one in the lake. Jason died a long time ago, don't you know? He drowned." And that kind of ends the movie.
Oh, but the boy, then the close up on Alice's face at the end, and it's just like the major sin of the Friday the 13th series has been up until I believe it's part 5. They have those after bit stingers that were completely unnecessary and add nothing to the story. And this is after when Jason like basically becomes a fucking zombie.
Yeah. It's it's a pretty girl on screen. She's not ugly, but yeah, it's just if they would have ended this without it being a dream scene, that would have been way cooler of an ending. Just pull her down to the lake, bam, cast,
set up to 2.
roll credits, and that would make it a way stronger scene, and that would also, in terms of like publicity or giving like a taste in your mouth, like you want it just a little bit more. Give me a little bit more. That would have left it there for us to, oh, we want Friday the 13th part 2. And they didn't do that. And missed opportunity. They didn't know at the time. They didn't plan for it. PR was different back then. And again, it's a low budget horror movie that would be, I think, mostly in a drive-in or a late night B movie, somewhere that vicinity. It wasn't a marquee movie that you would get.
But the odd thing was, it became one.
Yeah, it became one.
Very quickly. Yeah. This movie went over like gangbusters.
Yes, it was sad. It was sad that they could have left it there. I mean, technically, they could have recut the movie without it being a dream scene for like another release.
Yes.
But they didn't do that. They just kept it in. That. Okay. Let's summarize the movie. Thoughts and feelings. Oh my god.
No, I was going to go with Fisty as our guest.
Oh,
Please.
Fisty.
Sure. First is worse. Let's go. No, so this movie, it did so much to like help define a genre, help solidify tropes, things like that. I think it did a lot for the slasher community. I think it's a fun movie overall. I think it's great. I have so many problems with it. I swear half the time I'm doing, come on, like what? Come on. Whether it's a production thing or whether it's a cast member thing, whether I'm all Allie's the terrible final girl, or I'm like, but where are the stalking scenes? All of that aside, and I don't like the dream sequence. I still love this movie. It will always hold a place in my heart. I think the horror genre owes so much to it that the mishaps in this movie are what led to even better slashers and horror movies 5 years after this, 2 years after this, 10 years after this.
For sure.
Yeah.
Um, it happens to me every single time when we go and watch these movies for this podcast. I tend to have a good memory of them, and then I do a rewatch. Not really a rewatch where I just put it on and just watch it for fun. When I do a rewatch to get things that I didn't get before, or maybe I did get before but didn't really think about it critically. When I do think about these movies critically and try to dissect them, it kind of strips away the magic of them. That's why I keep holding on to the fact that when somebody, and this whole podcast is all about trying to get people to watch movies that we like and we watch, but we want you to watch it for the first time and come to us with a little bit of not lose that magic. It's really hard to recapture a magic of something you watch for the first time. That's the only problem. So if I'm thinking about it when I watch this the first time, yes, it may be a little bit less scary than you would think, but if someone doesn't like horror genres, this would be a really scary movie. This would be an absolutely terrifying movie for someone who doesn't like horror and watches this for the first time. You would not know what's going on and who's the killer. That's why I said that maybe Ralph might be the killer. And it seems like for us, it would be stupid. But for someone who didn't watch the movie, it could be that guy. And until the big reveal, you don't actually know.
Mhm.
Now, for like we said a lot, the girl vibe and all that, I'm not gonna add into it. But what I do want to add into it is the fact that yes, this is a groundbreaking movie because of all the tropes that are there, and then later on copied in other much better movies. And that's the significance of this particular movie, and not because Jason is not there.
Yeah. And I wholeheartedly agree with both of your opinions on this one. And rewatching this movie, like I've seen this movie a lot. I've seen it quite a few times growing up. Every single Friday the 13th. Yeah, I watch the Friday the 13th marathon. I watch every single time it comes up because it's just like, oh, you have to just keep it on in the background at least. But the one major issue with this that they do resolve in the later, specifically for moving on, is, oh my God, the plotting. This movie plods in its paces for way too long. As you can see, up until that 55-minute mark, only Annie has died. And I would get that again if they were more like stalking scenes where there's building that terror, that creeping dread that's inherent in horror films. That's fine, but this at its base is a slasher movie. That doesn't fly anymore. At the time, it kind of did because the genre was still kind of getting its foothold still. It was still kind of finding where it really belonged in horror in itself. But there's not only that, but all the little side scenes with Bill and Annie walking around the camp for a good 30 minutes and nothing happens. And that last bit between Alice and Mrs. Voorhees that you said, again, was around 20, 25 minutes. How they could have condensed this down, and they could have added more things that would add more elements of what we now know as like slasher horror would have been way better. But again, this was filmed in 1979, so you have to kind of give it a little bit of credit. So.
Yeah, I know. Like we said, condense the fight scene, the 20 minutes with Mrs. Voorhees and Alice, to about 15 or 10, and have more stalking scenes where you just see Mrs. Voorhees like FPS walking through the bushes and having little glimpses of those rotten boys and girls in the camp. You could have had a little bit more of a balance there. Yes, it's hindsight, but yes,
and I think they could have done a little bit more building up the exposition too of the reason why she snapped, not just because my son died, but the history of her still staying around the camp all of these years.
We kind of got a little bit of a story progression there, where you see the head like Steve coming in and noticing her and having that little conversation, but it ends so quickly, so we don't get a lot of. I get it. It's to protect the fact that this is Mrs. Voorhees and not somebody else.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But also you have to take into consideration too that when Jason died, it was 1957 when he died. When this was shot was 1979. She's been there for over 20 years. Just there.
Yeah.
Just lurking.
Just lurking. Just lurking. And
every time creeping around.
Yeah, and every time the camp reopens, there she goes again, doing her own thing. All right, that actually brings us to the end of the podcast. But before we go, we've got a little surprise. I don't know if Fisticuffer kind of noticed it on the last podcast. I know he watched it a little bit. At the end of every podcast, what we do, or try to do, is have a short version of the movie we just seen. So, without further ado, let me set it up because it starts immediately.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, just a minute. We'll go this, and we'll go that, and we'll do this. Hopefully, it'll be loud enough for you guys to listen to.
Okay, here we go. The short version.
Kumbaya, my lord. How can I get to Camp Crystal Lake? The camp is cursed. Help me out here? Why don't you stay till this weekend? Do as much as you can till the storm hits. Are you crazy? Hey, you missed a turn to the camp. Give him mouth to mouth. We got snake for dinner. Have you guys seen Ralph? The camp is cursed. Time for naked Monopoly. Time for Kevin Bacon to die. What do I owe you? Who turned on these lights? Phones are down. Oh, it's you. What are you doing here? Oh no! Bill! Calm down, girl. Mrs. Voorhees is here. They were making love while my boy drowned. Frying pan to the face. Machete to the face. Jason is back.
All right.
Pacing was much better on that one.
What?
I said the pacing was much better in that version of the movie.
I guess. Mine was very low. I don't know. Did you hear? Like, was the sound really good?
Yep.
The audio was good. Hopefully, it'll turn out. Thank you, a little Fisticuffer. Please, ladies and gentlemen, before we go, please go and give a little Fisticuffer a follow on Twitch. He does cooking stuff and he talks movies, I guess. Or if you like to have suggestions for the podcast, me on Instagram is Meffistoe79, or me on Twitter is @Meffistoe. If you like to email me, Meffistoe79@gmail.com. Or, of course, if you like to have any sort of suggestions outside of social media, it's comment section down below. Please leave a like on this video, share around if you like it. And, of course, next week we have something special for everybody. Next week, we are going to discuss Event Horizon from 1997. Is it 7 or 8?
I believe it's 8.
Yeah, 8. Okay. Event Horizon from 1998. So go watch it. Come back to us next Saturday. We're going to break it down and discuss it. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, a good night.
Take care.
Later, everybody.